Let's talk training scars. So I just saw a video recently where someone was saying airsoft was a bad training tool because you'll get training scars, because you'll start playing and doing things that you wouldn't normally do. And I want to make the point that right off the bat, the airsoft is just a technology. How you use it is up to you. You can get great training value from it. You can get no training value from it. Also, play is not necessarily bad. Play is how we experiment, and it is an excellent way to learn. You can get as many training scars from live fire or as many training scars from dry fire as you could from airsoft. This training scar is something that creeps into your technique because of the training technology you are using. An example, even when we shoot live guns, we don't shoot at real targets. We don't shoot people, we shoot paper, right? We shoot steel. We have ranges that have 180-degree rules. We have all kinds of stuff that go on that could create training scars if not managed correctly. Okay, airsoft, of course, doesn't have the same recoil. You're not really getting shot. All these different things that could happen because you're using airsoft. Back in the day, we would start from the surrender position like all the time. But right here, this can produce a training scar. So how would that work? So you're dry firing, and you're going to start from their surrender position. So you're going to draw and fire. And let's say you're shooting a 1911. So you draw, fire, thumb cock, safety on, put it away, start over. And the problem is, if you're not careful, you produce a loop, right? You produce a loop that's never ending. And the surrender position and the recocking of the gun with the off thumb, if that's what you're doing, both can creep into your technique, and you'll go to the range to live fire, or you'll be put on the buzzer under stress. And we have seen this, and in fact, I remember way back in the day, probably like 1990, 1991 maybe even earlier than that, Front Sight magazine, the USPSA magazine, had a guy write in talking about this exact thing, that he was practicing this position so much. He was a convenience store owner or some sort of store owner, and he had some guys in the store that were a little bit suspicious, and he was thinking he might actually have to pull his gun out, and literally found himself standing there like this. One time under stress on a beeper, I've done it, and I've seen it more than once when people had their hands down and a buzzer has gone off. This was back in the 90s, once again, when we were all starting with this position all the time. But I've seen the buzzer go off, and I've seen people's hands go to here before they draw. Also, I've seen numerous 1911 shooters that were really serious about their dry fire. The moment they go to the range, their first couple reps, I've seen guys pull their 1911 out, shoot, and then have their thumb back ready to thumb cock. So this stuff can sneak in, okay? It is very common if you're not careful. So another one that we see, and that we're going to suggest you not allow yourself to develop, would be the tap rack with an empty magazine well. This is a big one. If I'm practicing my tap rack with an empty magazine well, I'm literally teaching my non-firing hand to feel an empty magazine well as being correct. And that's not what we want. So if you're going to practice tap rack, you either need dummy rounds in a magazine, or you need a magazine without a follower so that you can tap a magazine. Because what we want to have happen, if you ever have a gun without a magazine in it, the moment you tap that magazine well, we want your brain to go ping, something's wrong, I need a new magazine. That's critical.
All right, remedial action. You can do remedial action with that magazine without a follower in it, or you can use dummy rounds. I'll demonstrate with both. It's just a simulation so that we can learn our hand skills. So, draw to the ready. You're going to engage the target. The gun didn't shoot. Right? Do your immediate action. The gun still doesn't shoot. Do your remedial action. Okay, so that is it done without dummy rounds, with just a magazine with no follower.
How do we get rid of training scars? We institute a start and a stop to our training, right? Mentally, a start and a stop. So an example, I want to start from the surrender position, okay, if that's what you want to do. What we need to do is step up, and we want to get in the start position, and then say to yourself, now I'm training, or now it's real, or whatever your visualization is going to be. I'm going to do another video later on visualization and emotional content to your repetitions. But whatever it's going to be, get in your start position and then start. Don't start thinking, okay, I'm training, get in my start position, because you are ingraining getting in the start position as part of your training. Okay, get in the start position, then start the repetition. Do the rep, do everything you would need to do, right? Then reset the system, right? Stop training. Tell yourself, stopping training, reset the system, reset yourself to start a new training repetition. So we need to have a hard start and a hard stop mentally, okay? It just has to be mental. It doesn't need to be anything physical. In fact, it shouldn't be anything physical, but a mental start and stop. The training repetition is inside of that, and now you're not letting any of the administrative motions required to do the training creep into the tactical performance.
Now, one thing I'm going to say, so he decided to start from like a surrender position. Put yourself in the start position you want to put yourself in administratively. Don't make it like part of going for the gun. And always use different start positions, like hands crossed in front, arms crossed, hands hanging, surrender position, whatever you want. But put yourself there, then start.
Another simple thing is get rid of all the ritualistic motions that you do, right? You don't want to be like the baseball player that steps up to the plate, taps the plate, plays with his crotch, spits, all this stuff. We don't have time for that.
Just so you know, every time you bring your gun back, you do this with your hand. You open and close your hand. Good. So we want to avoid that. People habitualize resetting their grip, and then they end up having to reset their grip because they're letting go at the wrong times, and the gun's actually like coming apart a little bit. So don't let, right now you have a habitualized thing. Every time you came back, you opened your fingertip.
In self-defense, we cannot go through a ritualistic behavior for the accessing of peak performance. We need to do it differently. We need to access peak performance when we drop to our stance. Dropping to your stance is the go for your body's emotional state, for your attempting to access peak performance. We don't have rituals prior. So get rid of all the little hand opening things, the feet adjustment things, the kicking brass out from under your foot, getting your position all correct. Get rid of all those little rituals that you do prior. Video yourself and just look for stillness. Look for anything that isn't technique and get rid of it. Right? We want to minimize all of our motions so our technique is very still and it's just pure technique with no extras at all. Okay, no extras at all. Then later, of course, as self-defense shooters, not just as competitive shooters, but as self-defense shooters, we can put in all kinds of deceptive motions that are not part of our technique that conceal the fact we're doing a technique. So to recap, when you're going to train, figure out the administrative motions required to do the repetition and separate those from the actual tactical motion. Make sure that you get in start positions, do all your setup of your gun, etc. Do that, not training, right? And then start the repetition. Do everything you need to do to finish a fighting repetition, then end the repetition and reset everything so you can start training again. Don't let it become this circular thing where you're going for maximum number of reps. Maximum number of reps is not what we're looking for. We're looking for quality of repetitions. So go ahead in the comments, talk about training scars that you have accidentally adopted because of things like this, and then how you removed them, right? Tell us anything about it that you've experienced or that you've seen.